Yes, it is my pleasure to once again welcome you to our channel, which goes by the name of Mr. Tingatinga Literature, the channel which offers you different analysis of literary works. And today on this video, we are going to deal with analysis of the title piece No Longer at Ease by Chinua Achebe, the book which was written in 1960. So before going to thematic analysis, let me use some very few minutes to give you a book overview before we enter into the plot summary, title and the meaning of the title, character and characterization, themes, styles and techniques. Before going there, let me first give you a book overview so that we may be together, or so that we can bring more understanding about the book. No Longer at Ease is a 1960 novel, as I've already told you, which was written by Nigerian author, one among the very notorious African writers, who is called Chinua Achebe. It is the story of an Igbo man. So the story revolves around the Igbo man who is known as Obi Okonkwo. Obi Okonkwo, as a youth, leaves Nigeria to go to Britain for higher education, and then later on return to Nigeria and being employed to a civil service in urban Nigeria, that is in Lagos. But this man is conflicted with African culture and Western lifestyle, and end up taking bribe. He fails to control, he fails to find his place. After being educated, he failed to fit into Nigerian society, into Nigerian cultural society, and also maybe a Western way of life rejects him. So while trying to balance his Western materialism and also to honor his culture, he gets himself in a very big confusion and dilemma. So this man is being conflicted with African culture and Western lifestyle, and end up taking bribe. He fails to accommodate his life, getting himself in a very, very bad burden of debits and loans. You see, he fails to pay them, so he is forced to enter into bribe, and this is a catastrophe. This is a downfall reason for the main character. The novel is the second work of what is sometimes referred to African trilogy. When you say trilogy, it means any kind of related works. For example, one might have 3 novels which are related, that we call trilogy, or maybe other may have 3 plays which are related, so it's called the a trilogy also. But also a trilogy may be of movies. So the book of No Longer at Ease is one among the African trilogy, whereby the first book, or maybe it followed the book of Things Fall Apart, which was written in 1958, and also it is preceded by The Arrow of God, the book which was written in 1964. All the books are related, speaks on the relating themes, all written by the very same author, who is known as Chinua Achebe. And if you look on Things Fall Apart, you shall see that it concerns the struggle of Obi Okonkwo's grandfather, Okonkwo, against the changes brought by the British. And now on this book, you shall see that the Nigeria is already under British rule. And when we go to the title of the book, you shall see that the book's title comes from the closing lines of T.S. Eliot's poem, that's called the Journey of the Magi, where there is a line which says, "We returned to our places, these kingdoms, but no longer at ease here in the old dispensation, with an alien people clutching their gods. I should be glad of another death." So you can see that these lines relate to our main character, Obi Okonkwo, who has returned from England from his studies. Now he fails to find a proper place in Nigerian cultural society, as he failed to fit with his ways of life. And again, if he tries to go back at a Western lifestyle, or it's also rejecting because he is not a Western person. So you can see that he is no longer at ease after going there to attain his education and coming back to Africa. So he lacks that easiness of life, he lacks that peaceful life, he lacks a place to enjoy his life. So you can see that education has become a very big source of his conflicting life. So it shall be better if he go back to England, maybe to live there or to study, or maybe he should go there back to return the education which he has attained and then come back Africa uneducated, as this line of the T.S. Eliot's poem suggests, that I should be glad of another death. So it means that if you go to maybe a direct example, if you want to attain a direct understanding on the title, you can see like when you were young, you were wishing maybe to grow up so that you can be free to live your life and to do the things you like. But after when you grow up, you come to realize that you are no longer at ease again at the same when you were young, and you don't have such freedom, such peaceful life. You don't have such a number of choices you had while you were young. So you can see that you are also no longer at ease. But this book focuses on the life of Nigerian people after attaining independence, that they are no longer at ease after being ruled by colonial people. So themes which are being explored here, you may not forget about the colonialism legacy. So you can see that people of Nigeria are being affected by Western way of life, which has been imposed to them as the result of colonialism. And then after achieving independence, they fail to go back at easy life, at peaceful life, at lovely life they had before. So though they have returned to their places, but they are no longer at ease. If we go to plot summary for bright or maybe for clear understanding, we may do the as follows, and we shall also use some couple of few minutes. The novel begins with the trial of Obi Okonkwo on the charge of accepting a bribe. It then jumps back in the time to a point before his departure for England, and walks its way forward to describe how Obi ended up on trial. So the book starts on the first part of the book. We can see that Obi is in the court, okay, after we are told that he's being charged after accepting bribe. Then the book jumps to other parts explaining how Obi ended up being there. And when we go on reading the story, we shall come to realize that the members of the union, Omofia Progressive Union, that is called UPU, its acronym is UPU, a group of Omofia natives who have left their villages to live in the major Nigerian cities, have taken up a collection to send Obi to England to study law, in the hope that he will return to help his people by representing them in the colonial legal system, particularly with respect to land cases. However, Obi switches his major to England and meets Clara Okeke, a student nurse, for the first time during dance. So you can see that the book elaborates that UPU people have collected their contributions and they ran a process on where they were looking for the brightest, for the smartest kid from Igbo tribe, so that they may send him to England to study law, and then in return that guy or that person should help them to represent them in their colonial government, on the colonial government. So among all the people who maybe just showed up on the contest, Obi won the chance, and then he was given that contribution, so that, or maybe he was given that scholarship so that he can go there at England to study law. But on the departure, before the departure of Obi, in Nigeria, his father, his Christian father, arranged some welfare ceremony whereby Obi was given some prayer and people ate and drank some food just for a farewell of Obi, as a celebrating for the chance he has gotten, but also as a farewell where he goes. So as a Christian father, we see that Obi received some prayers which is hoped to protect him while he's there. So Obi returned from England after 4 years of studies and lives in Lagos with his friend called Joseph. So after Obi completing his studies, he don't go back to the village, but he goes to Lagos, the capital city of Nigeria, and there he lives with Joseph while working at colonial government in the section of civil service. He takes a job with the scholarship board and is almost immediately offered a bribe by a man who is trying to obtain a scholarship for his sister. But when Obi is being given that bribe, Obi indigenously rejects the offer. He is visited by the girl herself, who also implies that she will bribe him with sexual favors for scholarship. Another offer again which Obi rejects. So you can see Obi, after returning from England, he is such a smart guy. He's such a pioneerist guy on the issue of ending corruption, and he thinks that those all the people who are in government positions, they are the main cause of corruption, so they must be chased out, and then elites, young elites should be given the chance into the government so that to assure that they end bribe, they end corruption, and so people are being saved well. So you can see that he has such a firm stand on the issue of rejecting corruption. So when given corruption, Obi with a film stand rejects to receive and then continues with his work. So under this factor, Obi is being referred as an egg. As an egg, you can see that's a symbolism to reflect his innocence, to reflect his purity. We can see he's been called an egg. But when people who maybe approached him for a bribe went to go to other officials in the very same office, or maybe on the very same section, they being accepted and they being helped out. For example, Obi's boss is such a corrupt person, very corrupt. Though he is a white guy, but he is a very corrupt person, and to the extent that Obi don't trust them at all. But let us continue with our story and we shall see what will happen later. So if you go further to the story, at the same time you can see that Obi is developing a romantic relationship with Clara, who reveals that she is an Osu. If we say an Osu, we can see that Osu is such kind of a girl, racial mixed. She is a colored person, that he has one parent who is white and other who is black. So is being called Osu, an outcast by her descendants, meaning that Obi cannot marry her under the traditional ways of Igbos. So Osu cannot be married by a black man. A colored woman is being segregated with fellow blacks. You see that she cannot be married with Obi. He remains insistent on marrying Clara, but even his Christian father opposes, albeit reluctantly, due to his desire to progress and eschew the heathen customs of pre-colonial Nigerians. So under the will of continuing respecting their traditions, even his Christian father, who has been saved, who is no longer worshipping traditional gods, rejects Obi to marry Clara, just under the will of continuing respecting their tradition and their customs. So you can see his mother also begs him on her deathbed not to marry Clara until her death. So he threatened Obi that she might kill herself if Obi disobeys her. So you can see that his family totally opposes the idea of Obi marrying Clara. So when Obi informs Clara about the events, Clara breaks the engagement and intimates they had. So then she informs that Obi that she was pregnant, and Obi proposes that they must do abortion. Obi arranges an abortion, which Clara reluctantly undergoes. So not willingly, but she accepts to undergo or to perform it, but she suffers complication and refuses to see Obi. You can see after doing an abortion, she was taken to hospital and given a bed, but every time when Obi tried to visit her, Clara refused even to look at him. When Obi he entered the room, Clara turned her head to the wall so that she may not see Obi. So you see, even when Obi tried to write a letter to Clara, the letter returned back to Obi unopened, but Clara written another letter saying that it is hard to believe that you don't believe that it is over. So Obi sinks deeper into financial troubles, partly due to poor planning on his end, in part due to the need to repay his loan to the UPU, because UPU, they gave him a scholarship under the conditions that he must return the money after his return to Nigeria. So money was given for the higher studies that shall be returned so that the other could use it also for their studies. You can see Obi has loan to pay to UPU, has also his siblings who he should help them in their education, and also he is also being he has a debit whereby he borrowed some money to perform the illegal abortion. So you can see that he is in a very big burden of debits and he has to care for them all. So while in the very same burden hard condition, his mother died, and then when Obi after hearing of his mother's death, Obi sinks into a deep depression and doesn't go home for the funeral. So this is because he thought that the money he would have used it to go and come back would be better saved in the funeral and to help out across the house. So he sent them some money to help with funeral activities, and he don't attend the funeral. So after that, you can see that people are just commenting on Obi's action of not attending his mother's funeral, and others, they even say that his father, Obi's father, didn't attended his father's funeral also. So you can see that Obi's father didn't attended Obi's grandfather's funeral. So through flashback, we are being given that that's a family problem. Maybe it's their behavior of not attending the funeral. So you can see that the novel closes as Obi begins to accept bribes in a reluctant acknowledgement that it is the only way out of his world. So you can see that in order to pay all the costs which are due, so he starts to receive bribes, and then later on we are told that Obi solves all the problem which surrounds him through taking bribes, and tells himself that it is the last one he will take. So he promises himself that he shall take the very last bribe and then stop taking bribe ever into his life, but only to discover that the bribe was part of sting operation. So the last bribe that Obi decides that he shall take, then that become planned sting operation, where he is caught. He is arrested, bringing us up to the events that opened the story. So the plot summary is like that, and there I think we shall direct now go to the characters of the story. In this book, if you read, you shall realize that there are very few main characters, which may not exceed 5, but there are other very many supporting characters. On the side of main characters, the first we have Obi Okonkwo. Obi Okonkwo is the protagonist of the novel. Obi is a young Nigerian man who returns to Nigeria after studying England. He struggles to reconcile his Western education with the expectations of his traditional Igbo family and society. Obi faces moral dilemmas and ethical challenges as he navigates the corruption and complexities of post-colonial Nigeria. The second character is Clara Okeke. Clara Okeke used to be Obi's love interest and a major influence of his life. She comes from a wealthy Igbo family but is of mixed heritage, which causes tension with Obi's family. Clara represents both Obi's desire for modernity and his connection to traditional Nigerian culture. So you can see that their love fails because Clara is a mixed racial woman. So you can see another character in the book is Isaac Okonkwo. Isaac Okonkwo is Obi's father. Isaac is a respected member of Igbo community and holds traditional values. He has high expectation for Obi and hopes that his son will uphold the family honor and reputation. So you can see that the high expectation of Isaac Okonkwo is one among the downfall of his son, that is Obi Okonkwo, because while trying to fit up with his expectation, it is the thing which enters Obi into further more troubles. But also we have another main character who is Mr. Green. Mr. Green is a British colonial administrator who becomes Obi's boss at a Nigerian civil service. He represents the influence of colonialism and Western values on Nigerian society and plays a significant role in Obi's moral and ethical struggles. The last main character we have from this book, it is Christopher Obi. Christopher Obi is Obi's uncle. Christopher is a conservative and traditional figure who disapproves of Obi's westernized lifestyle and choices. He serves as a contrast to Obi's father and represents the older generation which is resisting from the changes. So these are just a few of the main characters from the book of No Longer at Ease, and there are many other supporting characters who contribute to the richness and complexity of the novels portrayed the Nigerian society. Going to the part of themes found in the story, you can see that No Longer at Ease by Chinua Achebe explores various themes that reflects the complexities of Nigerian society, post-colonial identity, and the clash between tradition and modernity. Here are 10 themes from the book. The first theme is colonialism and its legacy. The novel examines the lasting effects of British colonialism on Nigerian society. These legacy, or these maybe effects, include cultural disruptions, economic exploitation, and the erosion of traditional values, colonialism and its legacy. This point is not being spoken directly, the issue of colonialism, but we can see the effects of colonialism in the book are being shown through the represented characters. The second theme from the book, it is identity and cultural conflict. You can see that Obi's struggle to reconcile his Western education with Nigerian heritage reflects the broader theme of identity crisis and cultural conflict in the post-colonial Africa. So you can see that African youth, after being affected by Western ways of life, they fail to fit in Africa. They fail to understand their position in their society. They fail to know what things shall be done by them in their contemporary society. So you can see that is the issue of identity and the cultural conflict. But also there is a theme of corruption and moral decay. A prominent theme in the novel is a preservative corruption and moral decay within Nigerian society, particularly within the civil service and political spheres, showing how people are corrupt and how corrupt bureaucracy causes problem to the indigenous people of Nigeria. But also another theme, it is generational divide, or maybe you can say the tension between the older generation and the young generation. This is represented by characters like Obi's father, Isaac, and the younger generation that is embodied by Obi and his peers. So you can see that a conflict between old generation and the young generation. It is one among the very big themes in this book, as old generation is being presented by Obi's parents and young generation is being presented by Obi and his peers, like Clara, who she was his lover. The fifth theme from the book, it is love and relationships. Love and relationship, you can see the novel explores various romantic relationships, including that of Obi and Clara, as well as societal expectation and the pleasure surrounding marriage and family. You can see that society expectation and the pleasures which surround marriages, society wants to decide that who shall be married with whom. So that thing confuse or conflict the actual people who participate or who engage in love, like Clara and Obi. Their love is being disrupted by people's expectation that they shall marry the people whom they wish they could be married by them. But also we have the theme of education and ambition. Education is portrayed as both a source of empowerment and also a source of conflict to the society. As you can see that education is one among the very cause of one to get conflicting ideologies to the society. So you can see that education becomes one among the catastrophes in the society, and while on the other side it is a tool of empowerment. We also have class struggle in the book, a theme of class struggle. As you can see, there are people like Obi who are struggling to achieve success in their life. But also we have guilt and consequences. As you can see, Obi's moral dilemmas and ethical struggles highlight themes of guilty and the responsibility. You can see that those are caused as the consequences of one's actions in the face of societal expectations and the pleasures. But also we have alienation and displacement. As you can see, the issue of cultural alienation. You can see there is a religion alienation, cultural alienation. As you can see, like Obi's father has alienated his cultural and he transmitted to and assimilated Christianity. You can see Obi assimilated his culture and adapted Western way of life. There is also a theme of hope and despair. The novel juxtaposes moments of hope and optimism with scenes of despair and disillusion, reflecting the complexities and the contradictions of post-colonial Nigeria. So hope and despair, you can see that we can say illusion and disillusion. You can see like Obi's family hope that Obi shall be their savior after returning from England, but when Obi returns from England, he fails to perform the intended or maybe the wished issues. Those were the themes which can be seen from the book. Turning back to the part of styles and techniques, you can see that Chinua Achebe employs various styles and techniques in No Longer at Ease to convey the complexities of Nigerian society and the internal struggles of the characters. Some of the notable styles and techniques include the following. The first, it is characterization. Achebe creates multiple dimensional characters with depth and complexity, allowing readers to empathize with their struggles and dilemmas. Through nuanced characterization, he explores themes of identity, culture, and morality. So you can see through characterization, there are also other themes which have been built there. So he has used the technique or style of characterization. Characterization is when one tries to develop a character and bringing him into life. But also, Achebe has used the flashbacks. The novel incorporates flashbacks to Obi's experiences in England, providing insights into his upbringing, education, and cultural clash he experiences upon his return to Nigeria. These flashbacks enrich the narrative and deepen our understanding of Obi's character. So you can see that through this we know history of different events and characters. We can see maybe like what happened before maybe the current scenario to bring up more understanding of the present scenario. So we understand Obi's history of life just through flashback. But also there is foreshadowing. Foreshadowing is bringing of the future to the present. That is forecasting. That is being done in the book, as you can see when Obi started to receive bribe. When Obi started to receive bribe after the death of his mother, that event just forecasted the downfall of Obi. Through that, without being told, we can just see that these are the things which will take Obi to the court, and eventually it turns out right that it is a bribe issue which brought Obi to the court. The other style which has been used, it is dialogy. Through dialogy, Achebe has brought characters into life. So it's just not narrating here throughout the story, no, but characters themselves has entered into dialogy that brought them into life. You can see that there is different scenarios where characters are having conversations. For example, conversation between Obi and Clara, and also conversation between Obi and his mother. But also we have another technique or style of symbolism. Symbolism have been used to convey deeper meaning, and have been used also to present themes in very bigger ways. For example, the palm wine ceremony symbolizes traditional Igbo culture, while references to Christianity and Western education represent the forces of colonialism and modernity. Again, symbolism can be seen when Obi is being called an egg, to represent the idea, or to symbolize the idea of his innocence and purity behavior, while Obi was rejecting to receive bribe. But later on, I think that idea evaporated, idea of Obi being an egg. If you go further, you can see there is a issue of irony. You can see from the book there is the irony is when the occurring event, it is opposite to what we hoped it would happen. So it is when the occurred thing, it is quite opposite to our expectation. You can see in the book the very big irony, it is an action of Obi receiving bribe, or maybe Obi becoming a bribe person, a corrupt person. That's an irony, because we didn't expected Obi to be such kind of a person, because from the beginning of the book, or from the beginning of his life, he was such a very big opposer of corruption, and he tried to have a firm stand on the good governance. He tried to have a firm stand on ending corruption. But also but when it comes that Obi become a corrupt person, that is irony. Again, irony, it happens when all people came against Obi, when Obi caught receiving bribe, or even those corrupt person more than Obi turned to accuse Obi of receiving bribe. That is irony, because we didn't expect them to lay their finger upon Obi. We expected them maybe to keep quiet because they are also corrupt people. For example, Obi bosses, who is also a corrupt person, turning back or against Obi when Obi was caught taking bribe. It was such unexpected thing. But also another style which has been used, it is narrative style. Throughout the book, the author has turned to be a narrator, so using an omniscient point of view. Again, we have a style of juxtaposition, whereby different things, different aspects, different people has been brought side by side for the sake of comparison, and that helps to build or to reveal some different themes. For example, Obi's father, Isaac Okonkwo, and Obi's uncle has been placed side by side for the sake of comparison between the two men, and from the comparison we may get a theme of modernity and conservatism from the juxtaposition. So Obi's father and Obi's uncle has been placed side by side for the sake of comparison. Again, maybe different people, different scenarios have been placed side by side just for the sake of comparison between the things. This is among the styles which has been also used in the book. But also we have code switching. Code switching in the book, we can see that characters are being code switching between English and indigenous Nigerian languages such as Igbo or Yoruba to reflect the characters' bilingual or multilingual backgrounds and the cultural milieu in which they operate. This linguistic technique adds depth and authenticity to the narrative, immersing readers in the linguistic landscape of Nigeria post-colonial society. Other things maybe to consider, it is relevance of the book to what is found to our contemporary society. The book is very relevant to our contemporary society because up to date we have colonial legacy in Africa. We have the effects of colonialism in Africa. You can see people across the continent of Africa are affected negatively and somehow in a very few issues positively from the colonialism issue. And also the issues which has been portrayed, things like cultural conflicts, family conflicts, things like poverty, things like modernity issues. Very many issues also exist in our contemporary society. It is Mr. Tinga, and I hope for your subscribing, as it is the only way of showing a gesture of support to what we are doing. Until next time, let me say bye-bye.